Hi guys. Well, it's been a very long time since I filmed a video. The reasons for that are twofold. The first is that I have been as sick as a hungover dog for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I got this viral bug thing that's been circulating around my office, and oh man, I got it twice, and yeah. Anyway, and things have been very lean financially for the last few months, so I haven't had any real cause to do a book haul video. But having said that, December turned out pretty cool because I got some Christmas money. So the following is going to be a combination book haul and book review video, and I smile because of the book review portion, and you'll see why at the very end, because I just finished reading something yesterday and my mind went bam. Anyway, first with the book haul. A couple of purchases that I made from Dymocks in Collins Street here in Melbourne. The first, this year I'm planning on reading a lot more of two types of genres that I haven't previously gotten into all that much. The first is fantasy, second is graphic novels. Graphic novels aren't technically a genre, they're a medium, but you know what I mean. With regard to the fantasy stuff, I made two purchases from Dymocks that fits squarely into that category. The first is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. To be honest, I wanted to read Coraline. They didn't have any, so I thought, oh well, this looks just as good. Read the blurb, which is really tiny, and I love blurbs that don't give away too much. The same thing I love about movie trailers when done right. The back just says, "Have you seen this girl? Answers to the name of Doreen. Bites and kicks. Run away. Tell us if you saw her. Want her back. Reward paid." I mean, yeah, I have no idea what it's about, but I just had a look at the illustrations and the style of writing, and yeah, I think I'm going to become a Neil Gaiman fan, just gathering on what I've read so far. So yeah, super excited about that one. Now, a few years ago, about 8 years ago, I read Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Really loved them. Then a few months ago, I read After Alice, which is a book about I can't think of the name, but her friend who's briefly mentioned in the original book, and about how she follows her down the rabbit hole. And the friend is very dull, kind of dim-witted, very plain, and I think her housemaid calls her what was it? Lummoxing Gulutrous, which I thought was the best way to describe someone. Yeah, and it's basically she goes on the same journey as Alice, but she comes out of it a little differently, and it's really awesome. I just loved it, and that just made me curious about other sort of not reimaginings, but I suppose sequels, if you want to call them that, or takes on the Alice in Wonderland ethos. And I discovered a book called Alice by Christina Henry. And this one is supposedly a lot darker, and it takes place in the future. And I'll just read you the blurb because it sounds awesome. I love my dark shit, you know me. In a warren of crumbling buildings and desperate people called the Old City, there stands a hospital with cinder-block walls which echo with the screams of the poor souls inside. In the hospital there is a woman. Her hair, once blonde, hangs in tangles down her back. She doesn't remember why she's in such a terrible place. Just a tea party long ago, and long ears, and blood. Then, one night, a fire at the hospital gives the woman a chance to escape, tumbling out of the hole that imprisoned her, leaving her free to uncover the truth about what happened to her all those years ago. Only something else has escaped with her. Something dark, something powerful. And to find the truth, she will have to track this beast to the very heart of the old city, where the rabbit waits for his Alice. Now, how was I going to friggin' pass that up? I mean, yeah. Alice is a grown-up escaping from a mental hospital. Hello. That's got Mel written all over it. So yeah, very excited to read that. The next two I picked up at a shop called The Book Grocer. They're a book outlet store, and every time I discover one, it's when they're having a closing down sale and they're about to disappear, and it pisses me off because I love Book Grocer. But I bought 2 books. The first I bought on the strength of Ophelia Dagger, wonderful. Don't call her a booktuber, just YouTuber in general. She's amazing. Very funny, very astute, very witty. She did a review of I Am Legend and absolutely loved it, so I thought, why don't I buy it? And even if I turn out to hate it, it's ain't that thick, so it won't take me that long to get through. But yeah, I had no idea. I saw the movie years ago, and it didn't connect with me that the creatures in I Am Legend, the Will Smith thing, were vampires. Didn't occur to me. Which I think is the reason why a lot of people have a problem with that movie, because it's not clearly defined. But yeah, I just think this sounds amazing. Original blurb, it just says, Robert Neville is the last living man on Earth, but he's not alone. Every other man, woman and child on the planet has become a vampire, and they're hungry for Neville's blood. By day he's the hunter, stalking the undead through the ruins of civilization. By night he barricades himself in his home and prays for the dawn. How long can one man survive like this? So yeah, that's I love a good survival story, so that sounds awesome. And SF Masterworks, I've also got another of their editions. I think I've got Dune somewhere, if I didn't give it away. I think I accidentally gave one of my copies away, and I think it might have been that. But yeah, it just sounds really good. I do love a good horror story. Similar to fantasy, I haven't read a lot of sci-fi, so this might be an interesting way to kick that off. Now, for book reviews. In the month of December, I only read 3 books. I haven't got it here because I lent it to someone, but I read Joe Hill's Heart-Shaped Box. Oh my god, I loved it. I didn't like it as much as I loved Horns. Iggy Parish, love that character, and I just got personally invested in him. Not as much with Heart-Shaped Box, but it is, oh my god, that was a brilliant story. Really dark, really rich, and it's about ex-metal / rock star who has this disturbing hobby of collecting supposedly not cursed but haunted or cursed or dark objects. Like, for example, he has the skull of an executed witch on his desk that he uses as a pencil holder. He's that type of guy. And he nicknames all of his living girlfriends, short-term living girlfriends, after the states in which he picked them up. He's that kind of guy. Not likable at all at the start. Then he buys, just on a whim, when his secretary tells him about it, he buys a dead man's suit on an auction site. What he doesn't realise is that it comes with the dead man's spirit, and that he knew the guy. And yeah, I'm not going to say anything more about it other than to say it was friggin' brilliant, the concept, and I just loved it. My only kind of criticism is that the ending dragged a little bit. Once the resolution happened, there were a few more chapters and it just went on a bit, I thought. But apart from that, oh man, I loved it. I really loved it. And I could just picture Joe Hill sitting there listening to metal music as he was writing it. And I was actually listening to, and some of my Facebook friends are going to laugh at me, I was listening to Marilyn Manson while I read it on the train to work, and it went with it so well. It really did. Yeah, freaking loved it. The second book that I read in December was The Road by Cormac McCarthy. It's about a father and his son walking alone through a post-apocalyptic city in America. And they're trying to get to the coast because the father wants his son to see the beach. And yeah, it's about their journey there. It's written in a very plain, matter-of-fact, non-flowery style, but there'll be moments of really great, beautiful poetry that just hit you like a sledgehammer, and I really love that about it. People say the ending is ambiguous. I don't think it is. I think it's a hopeful ending. Basically the father is very, very protective of the son. He doesn't want to get involved in anyone else's issues because he's trying to keep them both alive. The son has a much more benevolent, not that the dad isn't benevolent, but the son is benevolent almost to a fault. He wants to help everybody. And he doesn't understand that not everybody can be trusted. But he doesn't care. He's just that kind of beautiful spirit. I really liked it. I didn't fall in love with it. A lot of people fell in love with it. Not quite so much. I didn't get as invested in it as I thought I would. But I did really like it. People have told me I might like, because I like the dark shit, I'd probably like No Country for Old Men a lot better. So I'm going to give that a go this year as well. But yeah, I really did like it. I just didn't love it. Now, my next pick, hang on. Oh, I thought my phone rang. Sorry about that. My last book that I'm going to discuss and review. Oh wow. I read this in 4 days. And I'm just struggling for words. To say that I adored this thing is an understatement. I'd been putting it off reading it because I'd seen the film and loved it, and everyone said to me, oh no, the film sucks, no way, the film was a terrible adaptation, you've got to read the book. Normally when people say that to me, it puts me off the film, and then it kind of puts me off the book a little bit because I think I should be comparing them. But I ended up reading it anyway, and it is Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. Bad swears incoming. Fuck, I love this book. It takes the view of superheroes as just ordinary men and women who go into the superhero business, not necessarily to fight for justice and freedom and all that sort of stuff, but for their own purposes. And amongst the heroes, there are good guys and there are bad guys and there are neutral guys. And I love that. There are moments of comedy, there are moments of tragedy. There is action, but not like the Superman sort of action, like that. It's very human and down to earth. It takes place in an alternate 1985 in which Nixon was elected for a fourth term, as horrific as that is to imagine. America won Vietnam, so the political landscape is and the social landscape is a lot different. It's actually a lot bleaker than it was, and I think the early 80s were dark enough as it was, but this is even darker. It's kicked off, the events main events of the story are kicked off when one of the original heroes, which were called the Minutemen, named the Comedian, is murdered in his penthouse apartment and thrown out the window. And one of his fellow crime fighters, Rorschach, who's a man who does not compromise, everything's black and white, good or evil, he takes it upon himself to investigate it, and he is writing his findings in a journal, and he's basically a narrator. And what a voice. Oh my god, he's just And the wonderful thing about this is that it is a character study as much as it is an action story and a political story. Each of these heroes has a backstory. Not all of them are tragic, but it just shows you why they decided to become costumed heroes. And it's just, yeah, I absolutely loved it. Yeah, there are moments of writing in this that don't seem to fit comic books, and that's why I'm calling this a graphic novel. I know there are people saying, "Oh, you're just being a snob, it's a comic book." No, this is a graphic novel, and I don't care what Alan Moore says, as genius as he is. I don't care if he doesn't like the term graphic novel. That's what this is. My favourite moment in it, everyone has their favourite passage from this or line. Most people's is the Rorschach one in the prison, where after he throws hot fat in a prisoner's face who's threatening to shank him, he says, "None of you seem to understand. You're not locked in here with me. No, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me." That is a brilliant line. But my favourite, and excuse me while I clumsily try to find it, also comes from Rorschach, but it's about the comedian. And you would think that I would have been organised and marked it off, wouldn't you? No, that's not me. Let me just find it. Actually, everyone, I think, has a favourite character in Watchmen, and most people it would be Rorschach, and he would be about second for me. My favourite of all of them, and this is going to get people riled up, and it's not because of what he does, is the comedian. Now, not because he's a likeable character, because he's not. He's a complete son of a bitch. I mean, he's a rapist, he's a thug, he's a hired mercenary for the government. I mean, he does just about every despicable thing you could think of and more. But the reason he's such a compelling character is because he knows that there's no real hope for humankind. We will always fuck things up. He's decided to become a parody of that, to laugh at it, because the world to him is a joke. So he just does what he likes because he said, basically chaos is going to happen whether they're there or not to stop it. The thing that finally breaks him and actually gets to him in his soul is what someone else has planned for the world, for America technically in this, and that's what breaks him, and it's his knowledge of that gets him killed. But there is a passage in this, and I hopefully will edit the page up from the book up here. This is all from Rorschach. Blake, the comedian, understood, treated it like a joke, but he understood. He saw the cracks in society, saw the little men in masks trying to hold it together. He saw the true face of the 20th century and chose to become a reflection, a parody of it. No one else saw the joke. That's why he was lonely. Heard joke once. Man goes to doctor, says he's depressed, says life seems harsh and cruel, says he feels all alone in a threatening world, where what lies ahead is vague and uncertain. Doctor says, treatment is simple. Great clown Pagliacci is in town tonight. Go and see him. That should pick you up. Man bursts into tears. Says, but doctor, I am Pagliacci. I mean, when I read that, oh man, that got to me, because that's when you understand that the comedian was actually a lonely person, because no one saw things the way he did. He was the clown. He was the one everyone sort of brushed off and didn't care about, because it didn't seem like he gave a shit, because he laughed at the world, but he actually did. He wanted someone to laugh at it with him, and no one got it. And oh man, I loved that. That just, got me right in the feels. I just loved it. So yeah, I'm not going to give away the ending. Suffice to say that yes, the movie, Zack Snyder's movie ending, it was the same, except the method of destruction was different. But, to be fair, they couldn't have pulled off the ending that they had in the book, that Alan Moore wrote in the book, convincingly. People would have bitched about the CG for years on end. You're never going to make people happy with adaptations. You're just not. So, yeah, they couldn't have pulled off the same ending. They pulled off the same spirit in the ending and the same tone, just not the same modus operandi, So, yeah, I have no problem with the movie. I see the movie and the book as two completely different animals. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, I'm loath to say normally what's my favourite book of the year, because I'm just, it's subjective. This year, no contest. This baby right here, I just loved it. And for someone who's relatively new to graphic novels, this is only the third one I've ever read. The other one was Mouse, which by Art Spiegelman, which is, oh my god, sublime, and Black Hole by Charles Burns, which I liked but didn't love. This, oh my god, I'm gonna garble on for hours. I loved Watchmen, and if you can get this version, get it, because it has excerpts from Rorschach's psychiatric file. The Night Owl, another one of the second Night Owl, there are two. The later incarnation of the Night Owl's piece in an ornithology manual, whatever you want to call it. The original Night Owl's expose novel of the Minutemen, the superhero business under the hood. There are so many different things in this that just make it human, not superhuman. And that was my main problem with a lot of superhero comics. They weren't about human beings, and it didn't get to me. I tried reading comics as a kid, and I just didn't do it for me. This is nothing short of a masterpiece. I know that term's bandied about a lot. Don't give a shit. This exemplifies that term. I mean, you look up 20th century, greatest 20th century novels, this is going to be near the top of the list, and I think it did make Times top 5 or something, and it should. If you can get it, please get your hands on it. This one cost me $40 that I didn't have. Don't care. Really don't. Just adored it. I'm going to shut up about it now. Now, in the next few days or so, I'm going to film a new video. I've decided to take part in the Better World Books 2017 Reading Challenge. Better World Books, for those of you who don't know, are an online bookstore, and the great deal of they sell new and used books, and the majority of their profits go to buying books for underprivileged kids, school children, school libraries, that sort of stuff. So, and I love that. So yeah, that's what I'm all about. And every year they have a reading challenge, which I have neglected to take part in. This year I am. And there's a list of different types of books that you may not have looked at before that they're challenging you to read. I will get back to you guys in a few days with the detailed list and the books that I've chosen, and probably a book haul in a few weeks. But the first book on the list, I'm kind of cheating because it takes two of the categories out at once, is a book over 400 pages and a fantasy book. And the book that I've chosen and it'll surprise a lot of people given that I was fairly cold towards Cloud Atlas, but is The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. Someone said to me that this is like Cloud Atlas, but good. So yeah, dying to read this. In fact, I'm going to start reading this as soon as I hit stop. As I've said before, I didn't hate Cloud Atlas in general. The stories, each of the stories within the story were fabulous and riveting, and David Mitchell is a master at any genre. You throw any genre at him, he'll do it with aplomb. I mean, he was amazing. My issue with that book was the sort of gimmicky way it was set out. It took me out of the story. It made me aware I was reading a book, and I don't need to be aware I'm reading a book. I just want to be, nose deep in the thing and block out the world around me. That's what I want when I read a book. So hopefully I'll get that with The Bone Clocks. Anyway, guys, I will get back to you in a few days' time. I hope 2017 finds you well. And I hope it's a year of positive challenges and changes for you. I'd really like to appeal to anyone who isn't a big reader. If you weren't, then why are you watching the video? But anyway, who isn't a big reader, to try and get into reading this year, even if it's just a thin book, if it's a comic, graphic novel, whichever. Just try and browse through a bookstore, read the back of a book, read the first chapter. That's the best indicator. And just see if you find something you like. With books, there is something for everybody. I'm a firm believer in that. And if any of you guys would like some recommendations of different books that you might enjoy, if you have a particular type or genre or particular style of character or plot that you like, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to recommend. I can't guarantee I'll get it right because everyone has their own personal taste, but I will endeavour to do my best. So as I said, I hope 2017 sees you well, and sorry about the lengthy garbling on in this video. I will catch you guys in a few days' time. Tune in then.